To the surprise of no one, not even the Islamic bloc, the United Nations decides that withholding porn from children might be a violation of their human rights. UNICEF chief Joseph Mengele also announced that the UN would provide free mandatory abortions for pregnant Jewish mothers. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and you really can't make this stuff up. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today's show is sponsored by Mike Lindell and our friends at MyPillow. Look, just because you have a crappy day job doesn't mean you can't sleep well. Just because the world is full of liberals who annoy you when you're awake doesn't mean you can't slumber with the best of them. We've all seen the negative press that Mike has received since publicly supporting Donald Trump, and we thank him for that support. Well, why not stick it to the man, stick it to the left, and buy from an American patriot? MyPillow has not only created the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own, but they have also developed bed sheets, towels, bathrobes, slippers, and dog beds. And right now you can save up to 66% when you visit mypillow.com and use the promo code Dr. Duke. That's D-R-D-U-K-E, all one word, Dr. Duke, D-R-D-U-K-E. Mike, again, is a great patriot. He's a great Christian. We want to support him, and he wants to support us. He recognizes in us the kind of show that America needs. So use the code Dr. Duke to save up to 66% at mypillow.com. Today, we start with an absolutely stunning but somehow predictable report from UNICEF. UNICEF, the United Nations Children Organization, that says any effort to block children from accessing pornography online might, just infringe upon a child's human rights.
Well, according at least to the UN Children's Fund, this report addresses how government policy can be used to protect children from harmful, abusive, and violent content online. Okay, except the results that they found from that is not what
bogus.
You would think. Their conclusion is actually based, they did a European study of 19 EU countries, and it found in most countries that most children who saw pornographic images were neither upset nor happy. My question immediately when I read that was, how is it that you did this study, and whose parents allowed this to happen in 19 different countries?
Is traumatized into silence not a category?
Is that
they weren't.
Wonder.
And what does happy mean? Are there electrodes hooked up to parts of their bodies that measure happiness, quote unquote? How do they tell this?
They're going based off of what they found, especially in the Spanish children.
Spain.
That 39% of Spanish children were happy after seeing pornography. Now, I don't know what their measure was at all.
Could be.
Were they like, Spain's kids, they like to party all the time. I don't know. And then they're like porn.
Does happy mean like serene and emotionally stable, or does that just mean horny?
Yeah.
How do you separate those things out?
And the good question. Now, obviously, we call them porn fighters, or in any other case, normal human beings are disagreeing with this data. According to Lisa Thompson, the vice president and director of the Research Institute at the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, says UNICEF's report ignores the vast body of research demonstrating the harms of pornography to children. By ignoring the real harms pornography can have, UNICEF is playing roulette with children's health and safety. Fact check true.
Given how much UNICEF wants to unmake the norms of the unified family, the nuclear family, how much UNICEF wants to promote the LGBTQ worldview, why don't they ever do these reports, these studies in Tehran?
Good question.
39% of Muslim children, when shown radical pornography in their mosques, replied, Allahu Akbar.
Oh, geez. Also from the report, it says, in the case of pornography accessed via social media, even if the platforms employed age assurance tools to tailor the user experience to the age of the user, it is unclear whether age assurance would protect child users of social media from bots designed to direct them to pornography sites.
So what way to answer from the negative, right? Even if we tried to stop kids, we probably couldn't. So let's them enjoy their pornography. Let's them enjoy their human rights to watch porn.
Those Spanish kids are doing just great. They're happy.
39%, right? I could just see those kids there watching graphic pornography with Pharrell's "'Cause I'm Happy" in the background. Can you just picture it? Little Spanish kids. At least that's what the UNICEF would have you believe. And it gets even worse. From the actual report, right? Listen to the language of these idiots. From a rights perspective, extreme care would be needed to avoid excluding children from sexual and reproductive health information online, sexuality education, including resources for the LGBTQ education, may be categorized as pornography in some context. So notice we get no such warning. Extreme care is not taken to make sure that kids don't view porn. They don't think extreme care is necessary to stop little kids from watching porn, but they take extreme care to make sure that obscene or pornographic LGBTQ clips are viewed because that's educational.
Well, yeah, and if you just read those sentences, it's like they're bemoaning it, like, oh, extreme care it's so much work. And then, on top of it, the LGBTQ stuff, that might be blocked, so that's a bad thing too. So it's bad that we would have to hide the porn, and it's bad that for those who actually do try to hide it, the LGBTQ stuff isn't getting through. So it's just bad.
Well, it really does show you, too, the power of the LGBTQ union, the LGBTQ agenda at the United Nations. And good they found a European country that they can start to test this theory on the happiness of the Spanish porn-watching child.
Well, we have the posh Dalton School of New York City back in the news because the posh Dalton School is talking about masturbation. Now, the New York Post reported on the school's health and wellness educator named Justine Infante, who decided to show 6-year-olds the Amaze Parents YouTube video, which we've talked about, Amaze the channel. It's a cartoon that simply asks kids about masturbation.
Hey, how come my penis gets big sometimes and points up in the air?
That's called an erection.
Sometimes I touch my penis because it feels good.
Sometimes when I'm in my bath or when Mom puts me to bed, I like to touch my vulva too.
You have a clitoris there, Kayla, that probably feels good to touch the same way Keith's penis feels good when he touches it. But have you ever noticed that older kids and grown-ups don't touch their private parts in public?
They don't?
That's right, Keith. It's okay to touch yourself and see how different body parts feel, but it's best to only do it in private.
I have a couple questions. Why is there a chicken within choking range of the little boy who's talking about masturbation? Is that just a little bit over the top, a little too on the nose? Number two, why does the boy apparently touch his penis anytime he wants to anywhere, but the little black girl only touches herself when she's in the bath?
All I know is actually watching that again, I realized at least they did follow biological terms.
Hey, at least they
actually admitted that
male and female exist.
Yeah, that there is male difference in body parts than female, and that they do exist.
That's geared
I
for
guess we should be applauding them.
6-year-olds.
6-year-olds. So this is for
6-year-olds watching that
So
kind
the
of
school
stuff.
and
were the watchies happy?
No.
Were they hooked up to electrodes by the UNICEF? Were they
I'll have
happy?
to go back and ask. They're not Spanish, so we don't know.
The about to be choked chicken did not look happy.
Geez. Well, anyway,
what about the lizard on the other side? What does that tell us?
At Dalton School,
Posh
Dalton School. It should be called Posh Dalton.
Posh.
Dalton and Fonte, they've of course defended this class.
Of course.
The teaching to the 6-year-olds, saying that the word masturbation is never directly used. We got
It's like that divinal sign from the song from the 80s. When I think about you, I touch myself.
Do you know? That
Yes.
just makes you think of Austin Powers.
Ding,
Anyway,
ding, ding.
children are so masturbation is never directly used, and children are taught not to touch themselves in public. So this is a good message for them, according to Posh Dalton. And it talks about consent overall in the video. And numerous parents, however, disagree with what
they're
the
actually
school's
asking
assessment?
kids to get consent from themselves for touching themselves?
Yeah, if you watch the whole video, it's just about it talks about urination and consent in general.
Yeah, consent, right? I got that.
Anyway.
Yeah, you need consent now to touch your own little body.
Anywho, one parent actually said, "I'm paying $50,000 to these a-holes to tell my kid not to let her grandfather hug her when he sees her, because COVID, you know." But then there's this. Another parent says, we are furious. We were horrified to learn this was shown to our first grade 6 and 7-year-olds without our knowledge or consent. Oh, we're talking about consent again. But it's so hard to fight back because you'll get canceled and your child will suffer. Yes, the tuition there at Posh Dalton is $55K.
55. That's what makes it posh. $55,000 a year. This sham sex teacher, Fonte, her website says she has, quote, reveled in disrupting health education for 10 years. There, look at that smile, right? That she sees as she's so progressive, Katie. She likes to teach little kids slang words for their junk and to give them subtle advice about how to masturbate, not in public. There's the face right there of somebody who's just reveled for 10 years in doing this to your little kids.
And what's interesting is she actually, as like a side story, she had a porn literacy class. Porn literacy class for students at Columbia Grammar and Preparatory School, and parents there complained about her teachings, and parents in the past have complained about her teachings, but they were told that these parents had misinterpreted her porn literacy course, and yet Dr. William M. Donahue, who's Columbia's head of school, actually had to send out an email to all of the parents, and there were about 120 co-ed juniors. So they had gotten all the juniors together, 120, male and female, and whatever else they're claiming themselves to be, and they had done the porn literacy course, but then poor Donahue had to email an apology saying that it does not represent our philosophy.
We just hired her, paid her, let her in. We just hired her, paid her, recruited her, let her in, let her groom your kids. But that doesn't reflect what we're all about.
Well, what's the, what did she teach? Well, she taught she had images there of partially nude women, somewhere in bondage, of course, naturally. And there was discussions on orgasm gaps, and popular search terms on pornographic websites such as barely legal and anal. So they were learning all about this, so that the kids
you're
are prepared.
Teaching 6-year-olds about the orgasm gap, right?
No, well, that's for the juniors.
This is the intersectionality, right?
Yes.
Right. So this is where feminism and high school porn education overlap, right? The one thing you need to know, ladies, is men will always disappoint you sexually, much less the story tells us that they were at that porn literacy rate. The kids were told that gay sex and lesbian sex was much more orgasmically fulfilling than heterosexual sex. So on top of everything else, your kids, by the time they get to junior year, the girls are being taught you're not going to have any but fun in bed unless it's with another girl. So there you have it.
Well, if you're going to start something, you might as well finish it. So we're going to finish today talking again about sex. And we have a story from the Daily Wire where they had an author decide to compile 5 crazy examples of how universities are just pissing away all of your money. And what are they doing it with? Sex weeks and sex shows and porn.
Isn't peeing now a sexual category?
That's probably, yes.
Apparently.
This is true. So the Daily Wire picked 5. There are thousands?
Yep.
But we'll just go with the 5 they did. They start off at the University of Arkansas, where the university spent $11,500 on a drag show, of which $10,000 of those dollars came directly from the student fees. And what did that $10K pay for? Well, $11,500, but the $10K from the student fees funded 1 whole hour for 7 drag performers. 1 hour.
And what about 35 people showed up, right?
I was going to get to that part.
Yeah. How many people?
No one showed up because it was on Zoom, and it was 38 people on Zoom.
So you actually spent all that money on a Zoom drag show.
A Zoom drag.
And what I don't understand is this. Please tell me what politically correct category of boxes does men dress like women satisfy? I mean, it's not necessarily gay, number one. Number two, it's certainly not transgenderism. So explain to me, why are men not held guilty for appropriating women culture?
Well,
why is that not?
That's a very good point.
I mean,
but
look, if they were gay, we would not let them dress as women because that would be selling out their gayness to fake gender stereotypes, right? You gotta have a man and a woman. They're not transgender. because they're just guys who put on women's clothing. So I thought that was a cultural appropriation.
But it's all up to the individual to portray themselves as. And I don't know, one of the performers was Jada Essence Hall. I don't know how Jada identifies.
Yeah, but the point is that they're cross-dressing. Yeah. They are not. Right. They take this stuff off. They don't wear it all the time. They put it on to do shows and parades. They're culturally appropriating womanhood, aren't they?
Yeah.
Where's the double standard is outrageous.
Remember, if the far lefties didn't have a double standard, they'd have no standard at all. So Jada Essence Hall was the winner of the 12th season of RuPaul's Drag Race. That's probably where most of the money, because, if you win RuPaul's Drag Race, you are now entitled to, $5K for yourself.
12 years of that show? Really?
At least. I don't know how many.
Good Lord.
I don't know how many years. But anyway, that's not the only thing that the University of Arkansas, yes, I'm saying Arkansas like Arkansas because it's more fun. And I'm sassy. So they did an event not that long ago prior to this one where it was called Yas Hogs, because the school mascot is the Hogs. And it featured drag artist Jax, who explored queer and black identities in predominantly white spaces. So that's what you can do. That's where your money's going at the University of Arkansas. Moving on to Tulane University, where they had a week of activities just this past March here, including Safe Space to talk about black sexuality. One of the events featured a panel of students and faculty discussing the unique experiences black, femme-identifying, and non-binary people face on campus. How many are there, is my question, number one. With that specific grouping, how many are there at Tulane University?
And black sexualities, what does that even mean?
No one knows.
I mean,
but here's the thing. If you attended the event, there was a sex toy giveaway. So, maybe that's what brings all the people to the place. Anyway.
Did you get little Happy Meals?
No.
At lunch?
Anyway, another event they had, it educated the students on the many aspects of hookup culture on campus, including race, gender, and current events, and the concept of virginity.
Yeah, way to go, Tulane University, to expose your kids to hookup culture. That's what you want. That's what you want from a college that you're paying $40,000, $50,000 a year for, to introduce kids to sex without consequence. That's one of the major things that a modern university should be doing.
Well, and they made sure that the kids were well equipped when they gave them condoms and condiments as a...
Well, if you were well equipped, you wouldn't need any help, right? I suppose. Would you need the sex toys?
We're going to move on to Ohio State University, where they had their third annual Sex Week just this past, 2 months ago now. And the organizer said, we missed a lot in high school, socially, biologically, and scientifically. That is why Ohio State is creating a judgment-free, inclusive, relatable space for our community to explore the sides of sexual health that were never really learned. Because that's what the purpose of high school is, to learn all the different what did they say? Explore the sides of sexual health that they never got.
Sexual health. Right. Yeah, sexual health means what? It means...
according to them, it means... having a talk on healthy versus toxic
kink.
Masculinity.
Kink.
They have Kink 101.
Yes, they do.
They have Beyond the Gender Binary with ALEC, A-L-O-K, which I think it might be the same ALEC we're going to talk about in a little bit. And Abortions Explained Plainly, a panel of professionals.
Clearly.
What does that mean?
The words murder
yes.
would be the simplest, plainest way to describe it. I'll bet you that word
a panel of murderers.
Comes nowhere near that organization.
And they also had decolonizing porn.
Yes. When I think of decolonizing porn, I see somebody dressed like George Washington having, to a slow, jazzy riff, his wig being removed. His epaulets falling from his shoulders.
No one wants to imagine that. No one wants to imagine that. Moving on quickly to the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, who spent $5,000 to give transgender activist Alec, again, the A-L-O-K, maybe the same person, I don't know as before, Alec Vade-Menon, for a 2-hour talk with 40 minutes of that being a Q&A session. So $5,000 Alec got paid. Here are some quotes from the event. Violence is a state of being for trans people. Transness is strength. And of course, true freedom isn't choosing from pre-selected societally accepted options, but writing in your own option for who you are. And as Alec was there to also hawk a book called Beyond the Gender Binary, and it affirms that gender is a malleable and creative form of expression, limited only to your imagination.
What if I imagine a world without gender experimentation?
Somehow you'd be a bigot, because
well, that's
just you. But,
goes without saying.
But we're going to finish quickly here on the University of Tampa, which, this one's an oldie but a goodie. Back in 2019, They celebrated their Banned Books Week, and they had a free and family-friendly drag queen story hour. The local drag performers included Kenya M. Black, who won the Miss St. Pete Pride and Miss Naples Pride 2019, and Samaya Sensation, not Sensation, but Sensation, who won the Miss Florida US of A Diva. Look at her go, of Diva. And she read from a few of the many challenged and censored children's books that deal with alternate political and religious viewpoints, LGBTQIA+ issues, and other messages that may address difficult themes such as racism, violence, and otherness.
It's time now for some real education. After that sinkhole of sexual perversion, we turn to the great one, Ronaldus Magnus. A whole week of quotes from the immortal words of Ronald Wilson Reagan. There he is, the Gipper. Take me back, oh, I want to go back. Take me back to the time of the Gipper. Born 1911, died 2004. Really the last president who was both conservative but able to make you laugh. Somebody who was a leader, somebody that people wanted to follow, somebody who was articulate, somebody who had big dreams and eloquent, somebody who I think inspired the country. Look at the mediocrities, including Barack Obama, whose only talent was reading what other people wrote on teleprompters. Listening to Obama off mic, off teleprompter is excruciating. And you look at the sort of non-entities we've had as presidents since then. But I'm telling you, the Gipper. Let's read some inspired quotes from Ronald Reagan. I think this whole week as you listen to this, you're going to be reminded about just what a remarkable guy and what a remarkable president he was. We begin. Quote, government exists to protect us from each other. Where government has gone beyond its limits is in deciding to protect us from ourselves. That's exactly right. You protect me from the idiot who wants to take my stuff. You protect me from an invasion at the foreign border. That's what government does. But now government, certainly in the world of Joe Biden, spends all its time deciding to protect us from ourselves. You're too stupid to own guns. Free speech is too dangerous for you to have. How about the next one? I've noticed that everyone who is for abortion has already been born. Yes, sir. That's a great one. It's hard to protest abortion after you've been particleized in the womb. How about this one? Quote, the greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. That's right. Your job is to motivate the American people to greatness. Something, by the way, Donald Trump was able to do as well. It's interesting that leftist leaders want to force people into certain roles and then claim victory. What great leaders really do is what people like Ronald Reagan did, inspires others to succeed. Go back to the other two. How about this one? Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to them to do the same. Or one day, very soon, we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like to live in the United States, where men were free. That day is now. Now we are telling kids what life was like before 1619, before this We Hate America civics. And the last quote I threw in here, quote, if we ever forget that we're a one nation under God, then we will be one nation gone under. Both of those two quotes are related, and both of them are true.
All right, just a quick reminder that the best way to access our content is to download our Freedom Project Media app. Simply search for Freedom Project in your app store, and then you download it, and then you make sure you allow for notifications. And if you enjoy our content, please consider joining the Patriot Club. Your one-time $99 tax-deductible donation allows us to keep bringing you these stories every single day. Simply visit patriotclub.us to get signed up. That's patriotclub.us. And as a little thank you, we will ship you our signature red tumbler. Now, before we go, let's show some love to our Patriot Club members. Today, we're going to give a shout out to Sherry from East Bend, North Carolina. Sherry, thank you for supporting us.
Sherry, baby, Sherry, 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 baby. My way of loving you through the internet. And that's our show for Freedom Project. I'm Dr. Duke. She's Katie. She can't lick a lick. She can't sing a lick of backup. Until next time, Pompadours, my friends, stay very, very, very Frankie Avalon.
Who's Frankie Avalon?
See, very, very, very. Who is this again?
Frankie Valley.
Stay very, very Frankie Valley, my friends.